Hello and welcome to the Business Growth Show, where we talk about all components of business and how to utilize them for exponential growth. My name is Athin. I'm a business growth expert who help business owners grow and scale to create wealth and freedom. Today, I have an awesome guest. Her name is Margarita Yang. Annie is a game changer for millennials tired of running a never-ending financial treadmill. Not only is she a money-saving guru with over 1 million YouTube views, but she's also written Amazon bestsellers like The 5-Day Job Search and 1,001 Ways to Save Money. And Annie's not a Gen Xer or from an earlier generation. She's a millennial who understands how the crazy job market and keeping a positive bank account status is right now. She gets it. The delayed dreams, the struggles, and the hunger for escape. But here's the thing. Annie just doesn't talk the talk. She walks it. That's why I'm excited to have her share some of the systems she's created to make financial freedom and building a personal brand and feel like an achievable goal that's an unrealistic dream. So if you're a millennial, overwhelmed by your student loan debt, finding a better job, how you pay all your bills, Annie's latest book has the tips you need. And if you're in Gen Z and you want to avoid crushing debt in the first place, you don't want to miss this. So let's get into it. Welcome, Annie Margarita Yang, and thank you for being on my show.
Athin, thank you so much for inviting me to be on the Business Growth Show. Really excited to be here today.
Yeah, awesome. I'm sure it's going to be great for everyone watching and listening today. So you're a very successful entrepreneur. And for those people who don't know who you are, please introduce yourself by telling us more about you and your journey.
Well, I'm just someone who's if people who cannot see, they're listening. I'm an Asian American born here in the United States, born to Chinese working class immigrants. And you can imagine with that kind of background, my parents really must be pressuring me to succeed and go straight to a really prestigious college like Harvard, right? But that wasn't the case. I ended up not even going straight to college because we couldn't afford it, and I didn't want to take on any student loan debt. So after high school, I just worked a whole string of minimum wage jobs. And then, even after I did get a degree in communications, I ended up working at Domino's Pizza. So it wasn't always that golden ticket that people say, oh, that degree will open doors for you, right? I decided, you know what? I am so sick of people underestimating me and not giving me a chance because I'm willing to work hard and hustle. So when my husband and we moved to Boston, I said, this is a new life for us. I want to make my mark on this city. I don't care what people think. I'm just going to go after the opportunities that I want to go after. So I applied to accounting jobs without any accounting degree. And then by the end of 7 days, I got an accounting job. And then I was like, wow, I must be so lucky. I'm blessed by God or something. Thank goodness I finally got my lucky break. But then 2 months later, I was looking for another job as well because that manager turned out to be quite toxic. So on to another job search. This time, I got an accounting job in only 6 days. And then 1 year later, I wanted to buy a house. I needed to make $35,000 more in order to qualify for a mortgage. And so, time to look for another job again. And I landed another accounting job with no degree in only 5 days. So clearly, there must be something I'm doing right that other people aren't, because the average job seeker takes 6 months to successfully land a job offer. And I'm here doing it in less than a week, 3 times in a row. If you do it only once, that's luck. But you do it 3 times in a row, that's skill. So I'm here to share with your audience today some tips and some practical advice that they can follow to personally brand themselves and position themselves to become an expert in their industry, because I think there are lots of smart people in this world, far more capable and qualified than me. But I'm given the opportunity only because I know how to brand myself. And I don't think that's fair. I think everyone should have this information and get opportunities just like me.
Yeah, I love that. What a story. And I can relate to it as well, where I didn't finish high school, went down an unconventional way and got an MBA later. But, it's to be able to, move forward from the challenges, growing up and getting out of that shackles from the parents, so to speak, and then creating your own path and then creating some of this awesome value. Love, let's get into it now to talk more about it. So personal branding, I know you particularly help a lot of the the freelancers, job seekers as well in that space, but as you said, personal branding is so important for anybody, right? What they're doing. So firstly, why is it important to build our personal brand?
It's so important because these days, before you even open your mouth to speak, people are going to look you up. Like before you even get an interview, before someone wants to meet with you online, let's say I want to get in touch with the CEO of Domino's Pizza. Is he going to give me his time? No, he's going to look me up online to make sure I'm legit, to make sure I am actually someone who's worthy of his time. So it's just like, when you are on Tinder and you swipe right and, there's some chemistry there and you're thinking, okay, should we go on a first date? Should I have dinner with this guy? It's the same thing. You want to look this guy up to make sure is he someone I can trust and have dinner with for 90 minutes and he's not going to bore my mind? you know? What if he ends up becoming a stalker or like some creep, some psychopath, a murderer? You wouldn't want to go out with this kind of guy. So you look him up online, whatever you can find about this guy first before you talk to him, right? So it's the same thing. People are going to look you up before they want to give you an interview, or recruiters are going to look you up before they want to offer you a position, headhunt you. Business partners will try to find out everything about you before they want to partner with you.
Yeah, so true. Completely agree with that. And I've been building mine up, and I definitely recommend it to anybody. Right, that's something that we all need to do. Is building our personal brand, and then so let's say we're building this now, right? Like, what does it help us to do now that we're wanting to build this brand?
Yeah, one of the things that you can do to help build your personal brand is your headshot. I think a lot of people overlook their appearance because, yes, I agree. Your character, your personality, your background, qualifications, they are far more important than the way you look. But before you open your mouth to speak, people are already judging you. What you look like, how you present yourself physically to the world, it really speaks volumes about you. And that's the lasting impression that you leave on other people. So one of the things I tell them is like, especially since it's online, just get a one-time professional headshot taken, right? Yes, you have to look good in real life, but that headshot, that's the thing that everyone sees over and over and over again. So I actually have some practical advice that people can walk away with this, because just because you get a headshot from a photographer, that doesn't mean it will come out nice. You cannot make the assumption, okay, if I pay $600 for this, I will automatically look good. No, that's not how it works. You need to do your research. You need to do your homework. 80% of looking great in a photo comes from the homework before you even step into the studio. So number one, you need to actually look at the various portfolios. Like, let's say you found 10 photographers, actually look at their portfolio. Everyone has a different style. You want to go for the vibe you're looking for. Like, for example, if I'm trying to go for the look of like celebrity, I want a celebrity photographer, right? If I'm trying to go for the look of CFO, I want something a lot more like corporate looking. Everyone has a different portfolio. So go for the one that has the vibe that you need, right? Second thing, you need to wear every outfit in your closet. Take everything out of your closet, wear it in front of the mirror. Does it look good in front of the mirror? Okay, then you need to double check. Does it look good in front of the camera? So take out your iPhone and snap a picture. Because if it looks good on your phone, it will most likely look good during the photo shoot with a nice DSLR camera. Third thing, haircut. Schedule a hair appointment for the same day of the shoot. Trim those dead ends, the split ends of your hair so that your hair doesn't look dry. And then make sure, especially if you're a lady, get a blowout, right? And also tell your stylist, you can actually tell your stylist, because I did this. I was like, hey, I'm about to step into a photo shoot. That's the whole reason why I'm here today. Can you just spend a little extra time styling my hair to make sure it looks extra nice? Because this is going to be permanent, right, for the shoot. And of course, they'd be happy to do that. And of course, you tip well as well, tip them very well for what they do. And then the last thing, makeup. You don't just walk in without your makeup done, right? If you're not confident about doing your makeup, because camera makeup is not the same as in-person makeup. In-person makeup looks more natural, but camera makeup is actually caked on layer upon layer. Just it actually looks weird in real life, but on the camera, it looks amazing. That's why those Instagram influencers, they have so much makeup on their face, because under those bright white lights for the studio, you're going to look washed out without it.
Yeah, love that. So awesome. Great tips there on specifically doing that. And I completely agree with the power of a great headshot of what it can do there. And I think it's important having consistency as well. And let's talk more about, I guess, the online space now, right? So, we're building this personal brand. I guess we've got that headshot and everything there, but people look us up, like you were saying. So if we want to be building our personal brand online, what do we need to be doing to make sure that, we're being seen in the way that we want to be seen?
Well, you have to be careful what you post because these days, just like you are what you eat, you are what you post. Personal brand is not about what you want the world to think. Personal brand is what other people think of you. You don't control what other people think of you, but you can curate enough content to the point where, okay, other people are exposed to the same thing over and over and over again about you because you're so consistent about it that they form an opinion of you that is more in line of what you want to show. Like people say, oh, Annie, you're so unqualified. You don't have an accounting degree. You're not qualified to do this. Just last week, actually, I was on a pre-interview with a podcast host, and she's like, oh, you're not qualified to give branding advice. Right? But that's not how other people perceive me. She's just one person who tells me I'm not qualified. Everyone else, I've been on 60 podcast shows at this point, and everyone else I've been on their show, they see me as qualified to give branding advice. Why? Because I keep posting about it over and over and over again, and they don't do too much digging to the point where they're like, oh, she's not qualified. They just see this and then they go, she must be a branding expert, right? You are what you post. If you keep posting, let's say, posts about selling real estate, right? They will start thinking, oh, this person must be a real estate expert, or this person must be making so many sales in real estate. If you keep posting about your MLM products and keep pitching the latest Amway scam, then people will think, oh, this person is always just part of a pyramid scheme. so you are literally what you post. The more consistent you post something, like let's say 80 to 90% of the time, that's what people think of you.
Yeah, I love that. So true. And there's a great line, one of my coaches told me was, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room, right? So,
Yeah.
it's a powerful one, right? So what's the perception of what other people think of you, right? From the posting, from the social stuff, from how you're dressing, and, like you were mentioning earlier, that's really what the brand is. And you can then, be strategic on what you're doing there, like you in posting a lot about branding. So then they're like, okay, well, you know a lot, right, about it there, and then you can, become the expert. And I think, branding, it gets you in the door, right? Like, if someone's going to go really down the thing, oh, you don't have not that there's a degree in branding anyway or anything like that, you could do it, or maybe you work for an agency or something, that might be the thing. My wife's in branding. My wife's got a brand communications agency, but like, I'm consider myself like an expert on branding as well, right? Because I'm like I understand the power of it, and I've learned about it, and I and use it, right?
You implement it. Just like you use the background, the business show background, right? For your Zoom over and over and over again. That's one of the things you are implementing yourself for the power of branding.
Exactly. The consistency. And that, like the headshot you were talking about, is making sure that's consistent on all the social media platforms, right? Like you have the same headshot. It's a consistent experience, right? In there. And I think that's important too, right? Yeah.
People like to argue with me that, well, the professional headshot should just be for LinkedIn because it's professional, and my personal Facebook is personal, my personal Instagram is personal, so I should be able to put whatever photo I want. But I want to change people's mindset here. It's more like a philosophical shift about it. Okay, because we're so used to in person, and we're still shifting to this online sphere. People don't understand. I like to think of the internet more like a digital town hall. Like let's say I live in a small town with only 10,000 people, and you see the same people over and over and over again. You meet them at the supermarket. You see them at church. You see them at work, right? You see them from all angles. You see their right side, left side, back, front, right? You can see them from below. I don't care. You see them from all angles. You recognize them right away because you've seen them so many times. But the difference is on the internet, everything's 2D. It's not 3D, right? That photo of you is 2D. So people, they don't know what the right side of you looks like, what the left side of you looks like. So if your picture is not the same across all of your profiles, people could potentially think, and I'm sure they will, most likely, that's how this works. They will think you're not the same person. Like I was hiring an architect. Someone introduced me to this architect via phone call. So I've never seen her on Zoom or in person. And then she's like, okay, now pay me a deposit via Venmo. Okay, so I paid her the deposit via Venmo. She had a certain picture of herself. And then after I paid her, I was like, is she legit? Is she like a legit architect? What is her background really? Can she really help me with my new balcony? And then so I was like, okay, let me look her up online, even though I don't know her last name. I typed her name and then I typed the word architect Boston just to see if I could find her online. And then I found what I think is her on LinkedIn, but it's a different picture. So then I'm questioning, is this the same person that I just paid on Venmo? I cannot tell. Their eyebrows look the same, but I feel like one photo is 3 years older than the other. One is fatter, like I cannot tell. And that doesn't help you, because I was questioning her credibility. If I think she is qualified and credible, but maybe if she used the same picture across all her profiles, it would definitely help her in business.
Yeah, definitely love that. Completely agree there on the power of that. And yeah, and I think it's important, just to reiterate the point that LinkedIn is not just, to get a job and like, oh, I just want to be personal on Facebook or Instagram. Like we are us, we are the brand, right? We are our personal brand. So, because you never know where the opportunity may come from. Like for me, I've gotten many clients through Facebook, right? that have worked with me in the business coaching set. You don't know if someone's going to introduce you to someone that's going to get you a job or a freelance role or something like that, right? In business, that you're going to get introduced on one of the other platforms that, you think, oh, I'm not going to be as serious about or not be consistent about, right? Because you never know where the opportunity is going to come from, right?
Yeah, I guess I can apply that same concept to the earlier analogy. It's like, well, you don't know if someone from church is going to introduce you to your next opportunity, or someone at the grocery store, or someone at this nonprofit that you volunteer at. You don't know. So the same thing applies to the online sphere.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. And the biggest thing about us that's unique, apart from our appearance, is our story, right? Like, we've all got a story, and no matter what age we're at, whether we're, younger or older than other people, I think we've all gone through things, and no one can, that's very unique to us. So, do you want to maybe share about, how we can share our story, in a meaningful way? Because I think this is what differentiates us. You talked a bit about your story, right, at the start here. And this might not be initially there, but once you get in the door with someone, then you might want to be sharing a little bit about your story for it to be memorable and then, enhance our personal brand as well.
Yeah, I think one of the things people need to think about is, what are you struggling with, or what did you struggle with, right? People don't want to hear the story of somebody who always had it going for them, who had the silver spoon in their mouth, right? It's important though, when you think of what you're struggling with and the challenges that you went through and had to overcome, and where you are heading as well in your life, to not victimize yourself. Like, for example, I think a lot of people, like, let me use this example, okay? My identity, things that I cannot change about myself. 1, I'm Asian American. 2, I'm a woman. 3, I'm a millennial. I have all of these stereotypes going for me, right? I could say, okay, because I'm Asian American, I have a bamboo ceiling. Because I'm a woman, I have a glass ceiling. Employers are not going to want to promote me and pay me more as I want to go progress further in my career. 3, I'm a millennial. People think I'm entitled and spoiled and lazy, right? Like, I have all these bad stereotypes associated with me already. Do I use that kind of story to complain? Like, oh, look how much my life sucks. Poor person can't get ahead. No, you can actually take this starting position and say, look at where I'm starting, guys. See, you guys can see where I will end up, because it doesn't matter where I start. What matters is where I'm heading, the direction that I'm going toward in the future. I don't have to stay where I am. I'm not a tree, right? So the focus of the story toward the end needs to be more about what your dreams are, what your aspirations are, what you're looking to achieve. I think that's what really ends up inspiring people. So that's why I always use the Domino's story, because I'm just like everyone else. I started at Domino's Pizza. I know what it's like to work 8 hours on my feet all day, come home smelling like pizza, having to wash my hair every night. My feet hurt. They don't allow you to sit down to eat. There's literally no chairs in the back for anyone to sit down and eat, right? But you know what? That's okay. I've struggled just like everyone else. I understand how it feels, and I'm going to see if I can make it. That's a powerful story.
Yeah, definitely sure is. My first job was in the pizza place, FYI, as well. So I know how it is with eating the pizza standing up in the side when you've got a bit of a break on the day. And yeah, it's very powerful. And I think you did it very well. And just one additional thing I'll just add to people is don't get too deep on the sob story, right? If there was some challenges that you've come through, you don't want to sit there and get very emotional and start crying and all these things, right? Because that can affect the personal brand as well. It's like going, okay, well, this person's gets a bit emotional. Maybe they're not going to be good for the job, right?
Yeah,
So
they might think you're mentally unstable. Yeah.
right. And I think I see this sometimes when people share the story, right? That and maybe the first time you share it, if you haven't shared it before, it might get a little bit emotional if it's a bit challenging, but then going, okay, well, how do I say, because you don't have to say the whole story, you just say the bit that's the struggle, right? There, and then go, okay, but then from there I was able to do this, right? And then that way you don't get caught up in it. Because yeah, people don't want to sit there for half an hour listening to your story. It needs to be concise, right? And have that relevance, like you said, and just like everybody else or whatever it is, and then yeah, overcoming the challenges. So yeah, love that. Really awesome. So what about like recommendations, reviews, and things now? I think this is important to understand about our personal brand, like credibility here. It's like, okay, well, we've looked up, John online, Annie online. What are other people saying, or everything there. Whether it's in the resume or actually online, right, on social media, in the link in the recommendations or whatever it is like that. So how important is this, and how can we add this into what we do so that it adds the credibility for us?
Oh my gosh, that's terribly important. There are so many things important for your career. This is actually taught in anthropology, surprisingly. Anthropology 101, the first class I ever took on this, was about the 4 forms of capital. Number 1 is financial capital, right? Number 2, the others I don't remember, but one of them, number 2, was recognition. Recognition. So reviews, ratings, that's a form of recognition. Therefore, it is form of capital for your career. People focus on the fact like, oh, I don't have money, therefore I cannot progress in my career. No, right? Like what other people say about you is just as important. Oh, the third one was social capital, so having the connections. But like, so an example is like, how LinkedIn allows you to write endorsements for other people. Those are like really easy to rack up, right? You just literally contact people you've worked with and you say, can you write me an endorsement? You don't want to write it? Here's something you can copy and paste for me. I'd really appreciate it, right? And I can do the same for you as well as a thank you, right? Another thing is awards. If you can win an award. Now, I used to think that people just like, if you're really good at what you do, someone's just going to knock on your door and go like, wow, you're so good at what you do. I want to recognize you for this and give you an award. Like I literally thought that's how it worked for some reason. And then I realized, wait, nobody does that. In order to win an award, you have to pay $100 or something like that for an application. And then you get to participate in this contest or competition, and then you can win an award. But if you don't apply and you don't pay the fee, you don't even get to be eligible to get the award. So like for an example, for me to be able to even call myself an award-winning author for that social proof, I had to apply to 50 book awards. I paid $5,000, and 2 of them came back a winner. 2 of them came back a finalist. So now I can say award-winning author, recognized by an external third party, right? So that's an example of testimonials and reviews as well. There are other reviews you can get, Google reviews, or you can like personally get reviews from people that you've worked with, clients, and put them on your website as well. The more reviews, the better, basically.
Definitely. Yeah, completely agree with all of that. And yeah, get it as many as you can. And what I recommend to my clients as well is getting video reviews, right? Video testimonials and things like that where possible. Yes, the the simple ones that you can get written is great, but if someone's saying, Annie's amazing because of X, Y, Z, it goes a long way, right? In that way that you can do it. And that's something that, you could be different, right, from a lot of other people, because it's hard to fake that, right? A video in that way as well.
Well, we can fake videos with AI these days, apparently. But yeah, an easy way to get that video review is, while you're still with that person, let's say we're on a podcast right after the recording. Some podcast hosts have actually asked me, hey, while I'm still on this call with you, can we do a 1-minute recording of you recommending my show? I was like, sure. But kind of because like they put me on the spot where I have to say, hey guys, just had a wonderful time with this host. Just wanted to recommend you listen to this podcast because blah 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 host is great at da 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 da. So that's another trick that people have up their sleeves to get more video reviews.
Nice. I'm probably going to ask you this after the show now for that. So I've never asked that one before, but I love it. And I think this comes back to the law of reciprocation. You touched on it there with the reviews, right? Like, hey, can you endorse me, write a recommendation on LinkedIn? Here's an example, and I'll do the same for you, right? It's that law of reciprocity. So if you add value, and this is, I don't know if it's the exact same book, but what I was told is about relational capital. I don't know if it's the same as social capital, but basically with relationships, right? Like adding value to other people. When you add value to somebody else in some way, naturally you want to reciprocate in some way, right? If somebody helps you with something, if they help you, go buy some things for you or bring the shopping home, you're going to help them do that. If they take your bins out, like small things compared to then much bigger things, right? If they, if you introduce them to someone and they, get a job or get a client or something like that, there's naturally going to be a law of reciprocation. So be aware of that, right? With what you do as well.
I think the important thing to remember though is to do it out of the goodness of your heart, because some people, they understand this law, but then they do things for other people under the guise of like, oh, I'm so kind-hearted and good, and then they get upset when other people don't reciprocate. They're like, well, I did this for you, why don't you help me with this? I'm like, well, I thought you genuinely did that out of the goodness of your heart. I mean, there's nothing I can help you with right now. I would love to help you or introduce you, but I don't know anyone, or like I don't have the resources to help you at this very moment. But some people will get upset, you kind of just have to give and let it go. You never know who will give back, but the more you give, the more you will receive back. And you don't necessarily know which source it will come from, because a lot of times I have helped people and I always seem to like, I'm blessed. It's almost like all of this opportunity comes back to me, but from someone else I didn't even help. I think it's the energy that I give out. What you give out into the world, you get back. It's karma.
Yeah, definitely. Love that. So powerful. And it's having it, do it without expectation. And yes, you can ask the question like before, saying, hey, can you give me a quick endorsement or something like that? You can ask the question, but don't necessarily expect it, right? Like, they have to do it for you. If they do it, great. If not, that's okay. Maybe it'll happen in the future or come from another way as well. But sometimes I think you have to ask the question. It's like the same thing. You're not just going to get all these endorsements or recommendations on LinkedIn if you don't ask anybody, right? Everyone's just going to say how amazing I am. You still have to ask the question. And then maybe not everyone says yes, which is okay, but many people will, right? And then, yeah.
Don't get offended when people say no. But you have to ask. If you don't ask, you don't get. You don't get a promotion unless you ask, right? You don't get a book award unless you apply. You don't get the job unless you apply. Some people think jobs also come out of nowhere. Like the more jobs you apply to, the more that you are eligible for and could get. You have to ask. Everything you want in life, you must ask. But you also have to be okay with receiving no as an answer and just moving on.
Yeah. I love that. Let's talk a bit more about the personal brand with job seeking now, because you touched on it there, because I think this is important, right? So let's say you're going in to submit for the job, whether it's, putting in a resume, maybe a cover letter, things like this. How do we utilize or showcase our personal brand, right, in a great way? Because yes, they're probably going to look us up, but there's a way that we can portray ourselves in the personal brand that we can control with them, that enhances us, that maybe put us, at the top of the list or close to it to get the interviews and things like that. So what are some things there that we can do to highlight it?
The resume, the top of the resume needs to have your LinkedIn URL. Don't use the default one that just comes with a bunch of random letters and numbers, actually customize your URL. I thought this was really basic, but it's something I have to say because there are a lot of people who don't customize their URL. So first of all, customize a URL, put it at the top of your resume. Second of all, even if you don't think that you're going to become a freelancer, it makes sense to buy your domain name. Buy the domain name for your name. Like, for example, I'm Annie Margarita Yang. Well, get AnnieMargaritaYang.com. If your name is taken, try out different variations of your name. If all else fails, you might try something like AnnieYangOfficial.com or TheAnnieYang.com to make it look like you're super famous, right? But either way, try to get something with your full name. And if you don't have a website, one of the things you can do for free after you buy the domain, which costs only $12 for a year, you can redirect the domain name to your LinkedIn URL. So that way, when someone types in AnnieMargaritaYang.com, it can redirect straight to the LinkedIn profile. That way, it doesn't look like a blank, empty page. That's a pro tip right there. Another thing is to get the customized email address. So the custom domain name email address after you get the domain name. So like, for example, it would be Annie@AnnieMargaritaYang.com. Something like that is only $6 a month. Do it. I don't know why people are so hesitant or resistant to doing this, but it will make a huge difference in your job search because it conveys to people, oh, wow, this person is so professional. They really take their career seriously. So it's not just about what you say, it's the attitude that you give off, the impression you give off. People will think, oh, wow, they're willing to pay $6 for this. They were willing to put the time to set it up. They must be taking their career seriously. Third thing, your email signature. So after you get that email set up, pay $19 for a branded email signature with your colors and your headshot. So if you go on, I think it was signature.io or no. The website is called www.signature.email. You can pay a one-time fee of $19 and you can make a really professional looking email signature with your colors, all of your full contact information for you to copy and paste into your own email client. And then time to make over your LinkedIn profile. All of it needs a makeover, right? The two most important, actually three of the most important things to take into consideration in building this brand and positioning yourself for being the ideal candidate that will get all the interviews is first thing, your headline. A lot of people, you got to understand, even if you're applying for a job, you are the CEO of your own household. You are the CEO of your financial life. A job is just one way, one structure in which you're paid. In the end, everyone, regardless of whether they work for an employer or not, they work for themselves because you're going into the job marketplace and you're selling your time. You're selling your labor, basically, right? So you still work for yourself, even if you work for a company. So it's really weird to me that the default headline is like, for example, accounting manager at XYZ company. What? Really? So make it stand out. Think of who you're helping, so the kind of business you're helping or the kind of clients you help, and how you provide value. Like, how do you help them? For example, saving taxes for real estate investors would be, much more stand out than like real estate tax accountant. Who cares? But if I can help save taxes for real estate investors, wow, I think maybe she's the one for the job. Second thing is using ChatGPT to write a professional bio. Log into ChatGPT, get the version 4, pay the $20 a month for that one. It's well worth it. And then just prompt the software, I need a professional bio written for my LinkedIn. What information do you need from me? And then it will ask you for like 10 pieces of information. Just fill it all out. Doesn't even need to be perfectly in grammar or punctuation, anything like that. Just fill out what you can, shove it back in, and out pops a nearly perfect bio that just needs a little bit of touch up, but it will make you sound amazing, I swear. And then don't forget, at the end of your bio, put your contact information. That's the third thing. Put your email address because people cannot contact you. Even when they want to give you the opportunity. Oh my gosh, this has happened to me so many times when I wanted to reach out to someone and I was really excited, only for me to find out, how do I get in contact with this person? They might check their LinkedIn only like once a month. You know, if I message them, they might not see it until a month later, right? So you might not be on LinkedIn every day. You know, not everyone's on LinkedIn every day. So put your contact information there so that people can email you when they want to give you an opportunity.
Yeah, I love that. A lot of gold was shared in that section there, and completely agree with having your name. You know, I've got athincassiotis.com, same thing. And also, if you're in a different country, getting that domain, like I've got .com.au, which is the Australian one, right, as well, and that as well. So but definitely minimum the .com, and you gave some great, different ways of doing it. If your name's a bit more, standard there, then you can do it there and get an email. I completely agree with all of that, and that's also for business. You know, if everybody listening to this, right, is like, this is, yes, for people wanting to get a job, like this is very unique. Normally you hear about this in business, like what people do. I love that you're, using this for people that are wanting to get a job or getting like freelance roles, because nobody's doing it like this in that market. And even the simple way of just forwarding it to the LinkedIn profile, so you don't even have to have the website. There's no like excuses about well, if I need a domain, I need a website or anything like that, right? It's like, just forward it. It's 2 seconds, and then you can build a website later if you want to, but you don't need to necessarily. So yeah, really cool.
That was a pro tip from another podcast host, so I'm just passing it on.
Passing it on. Hey, that's what it's all about, right? Pass on the gold, and move it on forward. So yeah, really cool. Some really, really great tips there. And I guess, what do you maybe want to share someone that you know about that, whether, I know yourself, you've had a lot of success here, but from building the personal brand, then what it's helped them, to achieve after from that.
Yeah, I had someone who was laid off in May, and he came to me at the end of August. He was like, I've been unemployed for 4 months. I came across your book. I read it right away because we're the same age, and we both happen to grow up in Brooklyn, New York. So he was like, here's someone that I can relate to, same age and from the same place. Why is she successful? Why am I not? Clearly, there's something she's doing right. I want to know her secrets. So I coached him, and what he wanted to do was, he was working in audit in accounting, and he wanted to transition into real estate tax. So that's why I was using it as an example, because I thought of him right away. And he was like, I don't think I can make this transition. I was like, no, it's fine. He's like, but I've never done real estate tax before. I was like, it's okay. Just put it as your headline, saving taxes for real estate investors, and then make the bio more about what you want, right? Like the bio should be more about what you're focused on getting for or doing for the next stage in your career, rather than about what you've done in the past. That should be the focus of the bio. Make sure we do that in ChatGPT, and then like some supporting information based on his past accomplishments, right? And then he after he did all this makeover, so the makeover took a month because I had to give him homework once a week, and he came back with the homework done and stuff like that. But after we did the makeover for him, I was like, you're good to start applying for jobs. I can set you free now. Just start applying for jobs and see what comes back. He came back to me in 2 weeks. He was like, I got a job offer. I was like, congrats. He didn't think he could do it, but he could. He could, Yeah. It's more about like, you got to apply the information. You can't just sit there and hope things happen for you.
Yeah, so true. Love that. And a powerful way of your book, right? About, someone they're looking at it and then going, okay, well, can I get a bit more specific help? And then, what you've really done there, you mentioned it earlier, is stepping into that identity that you can be this now, right? You are this person. You don't have to have all of this background to do it. But, you're researching it, you can do it and put it forward. It's like the Sir Richard Branson saying of saying yes and work out the how after type of thing there. Always fun doing it that way as well. I think is so important. And I think, personal branding, it gets you in the door, right? Like with a job, with a company, even with a person, right? Like, with me, I've been able to, interview a lot of big names on this podcast, right? It's because I built my personal brand. If I didn't have that, it wouldn't happen, right? Or certain people that want to work with me. And so no matter what stage you're at, if you're looking for a job, if you're freelancing for someone, if you've got a business, or, you're wanting to work with partners, whatever that is, building that up is going to make you stand out and get access going, hey, I'd love to get to know Annie, like, I'd love to get to know Athin, whatever there, because the personal brand has been built. And that's a constant thing over time, right? That you build there, which is so important. So love everything, that you've been sharing today. So much gold. And I guess as we're starting to wrap up, one key piece of advice would you like to give to everyone watching and listening today?
The one thing I want to leave people with is don't wait for someone to give you permission, right? Someone was like, Annie Yang is a financial guru. Are you a self-proclaimed financial guru? I was like, yeah. I mean, who else is going to proclaim me as a financial guru unless I call it myself first, right? Who's going to call me a best-selling author unless I call myself that first? No one just wakes up one day and says, wow, you're a best-selling author. No, I had to call it for myself first before other people recognize that, right? So don't be afraid. Don't wait for permission. Don't have imposter syndrome because, literally yesterday I was watching this YouTube video of this 18-year-old who pretended to become a doctor. He started his own clinic in Florida and he was playing doctor. He was wearing the coat and everything and had the fake certificate on the wall. And people literally came in thinking he was a doctor and asking him for prescriptions. So it's really funny, but you guys, you're listening to the show because you want to improve yourself. Clearly, you're smart, you're capable, you have what it takes. It's just a matter of packaging yourself, making yourself prettier, like pretend you're present and putting that attractive gift wrap around you with a bow, right? So you're already amazing, but all we're doing here is adding that gift wrap around you.
Yeah, love that. So true. Completely agree. Very powerful ending there. And yeah, we connected through our network. So I learned about your awesome journey from, working at Domino's and getting into bookkeeping and accounting and being a YouTube content creator now, as well as being the founder of Annie Yang Financial and the best-selling author of the 5-Day Job Search. Amazing woman, so knowledgeable, a lot of confidence. I love it. You're helping a lot of people to get to that next stage in their career. And I'm sure you continue to help Gen Z avoid, crushing debt, get their financial freedom and get hired as well. Very grateful we connected and look forward to working with you. So Annie, how can people find you, get in contact with you?
People can find me and get in contact with me via annieyangfinancial.com. That's ANNIEYANG.com. And I have a special offer for you guys. Even if you're not a job seeker and you're just a business owner, everything I've talked about today applies to business owners. So I highly recommend you buy my book, The 5-Day Job Search, because literally it's mindset and personal branding. You can literally take everything I'm talking about and apply it to your business as well. So get the 5-Day Job Search book for a limited time only on annieyangfinancial.com. You can add the book to your shopping cart and use the coupon code GROWTH, GROWTH, for a 10% off discount on the signed paperback copy.
Beautiful. Awesome, guys. Definitely check out Annie there on her website and get a copy of her book. It sounds amazing from someone, even at a younger age and what she's achieved and the mindset behind it. I can definitely feel the mindset there, right? There's always something to learn from everybody, no matter where they're at, right? No matter what age, what their experience is. And I think there's a lot of value that's been shared and love all of that of how you're helping people there. So definitely check out Annie there. And it's been a pleasure interviewing you.
Thank you so much, Athin, for having me on the Business Growth Show.
Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to this show where we talk about everything on business growth. And please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as Athin Cassiotis, or visit my website, athincassiotis.com. If you want to grow and scale your business, you can reach out to me on any platform to see if we're a good fit. I completely agree with you, or do I? The only way you know is if you tune in next time. So until next time, remember that our business grows when we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. So remember to design your growth and results.